So if you think it would be cool to display your surfboard or skimboard in your room, or you just need a safe place for it at room temperature, this is a great idea. So I bought a new surfboard, and when I went to put it in the shed, I realized that I did not have enough room for it. So I set out to build a nice looking surfboard rack in my garage, which is actually a lot better because my wax would not melt during the hot summer days, because my garage stays cool. When I finished, my wife liked it so much that she asked me to build one for my son in his room. So I will take you through the steps in building two different styles, and you pick the one that is right for you. So let's get cutting. Now on average, I would say you need 6 inches from the ceiling down, but if your board is more than 2 inches thick, you might want to go a little bit bigger. What you need for this project is a circular saw, a drill, a stud finder, and 2 pieces of composite material. Using these, we don't need to paint. The 2 pieces of composite material were 3/4 by 2.5 by 8 feet long. We will start with the hanging mounts. Measure out 6 inches and multiply that by 2, which will give us 12. We will cut these in half to give us our 4 base pieces. Now with your saw, cut your mark. Just cut the 12-inch mark for now. Leave the 6-inch mark intact. Take your piece and cut it down the center to give you 2 exact even pieces. Then stack your pieces and cut your second mark. Take each piece and drill a small pilot hole about 1 inch from each end. Do this on the flat side, not the thin side. Now depending on how wide your surfboard is, this could vary. I want a 7-inch space, so I make my mark at 8 because we will lose 1 inch with the crossbar. Take your saw and make your cut. Then place that piece back on the full piece and use it as a guide to cut your second piece. You will end up with 2 identical pieces. You will keep placing your cut piece back on your full piece until you end up with 4 identical pieces. Now this is just an extra step to ensure that I will be in the center of the board so my pilot holes will stay aligned. So I take a previous cut piece and I turn it on its side, and I use another to ensure I'm flush with the end, and then I just simply make a line across my board. With your drill, place 2 pilot holes on the end of each of your pieces. Do your best to center each hole between the line and the end of your board. Now we can join our mounts together. Take your 6-inch pieces and turn them on their side. Then take an 8-inch piece and center your hanging piece in the center of your board. It does not have to be perfect, so you can just eyeball it here. But you need to make sure the end is flush with the ceiling mount, so use another piece just to make sure you stay flush. I am using 1.5 inch drywall screws here. They have nice big threads that will hold the composite material tight. I will continue using 1.5 inch drywall screws here, but if you have 2-inch screws, this is where you should use them because they need to go all the way through the piece you're mounting and the 1/2 inch of ceiling before they reach the studs. I will put the screws in the pilot holes to make this part easy. You will thank yourself later for doing this. You need to do this to all 4 pieces if you're making the center ceiling rack. Now lay the pieces on their sides and place your screws in the other pilot holes. This will also make attaching the crossbar easy when you're working on a ladder. Do this to all 4 pieces or to 2 if you're making the wall rack. Earlier we added an extra inch to our guesstimation. I measured 8 because I wanted 7. Here I am just making sure I have a 7-inch gap still. Take your stud finder and locate your ceiling studs. I know I will get a pro on here to correct me and say that those are trusses, but I am simply going to keep calling them studs. The standard distance between ceiling rafters is 2 feet, but they can vary. We want at least 48-inch wide rack here, but as long as I can fit 2 surfboards on it, I will be good. So measure your surfboards to know what the smallest width you can still get away with is before you begin. Your marks on the studs could be a little different, so to ensure your rack stays square, measure from the wall out to your first mount, and then repeat that measurement and make a mark to your second one. I know you guys love it when I make mistakes, and it just goes to show I'm making this up as I go along. Well, if you did not notice, I mounted these facing the wrong direction. I will need to pull out the pre-drilled screws. They should be going towards the wall, not away from the wall. What an amateur. I could have taken down the mounts and turned them around, but I didn't want extra holes in the ceiling. But it will be easier to pull the screws out and just send them in the right direction. Next, measure from the ceiling to the end of your mount and take that measurement to the wall and make your mark. Drill in your mounts below the line you just made. Measure your gap between your mounts and then take this measurement and make corresponding marks on your wall. Once all your marks are made, you can install the last base piece. Remember that you're mounting this under the first mark you made, not on top of it, or you will have an angled piece. You should now have 4 identical mounts. Okay, your last measurement is taken from the wall to the face of the mount. Do not do this earlier in the project or you will find difficulties reaching the studs or ensuring a perfectly tight fit when you go to mount. This is why we waited last to take this measurement. Take that measurement to the saw and then cut your last 2 pieces. Once cut, put a pilot hole in the center of one end and place a screw in it. Then lay it across your mount and screw in your piece. If you are building the center ceiling rack and are doing this alone, take a clamp and place it on the bottom of one of the mounts just to hold it into position while you screw in the other end. And because I put these on backwards earlier, here I have to erase my pencil lines so they won't be seen. The last thing you need to do is take a Phillips screwdriver and hand screw in the other end into the mount. Even if your drill does fit, don't risk damaging the wall with the spinning chuck. Just use the standard handheld screwdriver. After that, you're all done. You can now simply slide in your surfboards or your skimboards, but you're all done. As always, thanks for watching. If you're a surfer, hit that thumbs up button. And don't forget to subscribe.